Hi, my name is Ellie Edwards-Scott. I'm co-founder of the Advisory Collective, a business that helps UK companies with digital acceleration projects and global tech companies land and launch into the UK market. Really excited to be here. I've got three fabulous panelists for this session, which is about celebrating Black-owned businesses and talking about how three Black-owned businesses found their success. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my first panelist. Sabrina, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina Clarke-Okwubanego. I'm the managing partner of Build Global. Build Global is a boutique consultancy that provides corporate strategy, business transformation, and supplier diversity services to corporate clients. And we also provide strategic planning, business model designs, and negotiation services to SMEs. It's a pleasure to be here and share the stage with the three of you.
Fabulous. Thanks, Sabrina. Nene?
Hi everyone, I'm Nene. I have two companies in my portfolio. The first one is Vine Creatives, which is a visual communications and strategy agency. And I also look after We Are Stripes, which is a D&I consultancy where we help brands and companies with their creative output in terms of diversity and inclusion.
Fabulous. Last but not least, Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Williams and I'm the founder of SevenSix Agency. We are an inclusive marketing and talent management agency based in London, and we work with influencers, brands and agencies alike on influencer marketing campaigns and strategy, as well as working with brands and agencies on inclusive marketing strategies.
Great. Now I'm just going to dive straight in. I think as business owners, it's so easy to kind of be focusing on what's next, the next project, the next goal that you've got to achieve, the next thing that you need to do or something that you haven't done. But what I'd really like to do is take a moment and reflect on success. So, Nene, can you give me some of your successful moments it could be over the last year, it could just be, as a business owner. What are some of the career moments that you're really proud of?
Okay, cool. I think with Vine Creatives, one of the biggest pieces that we had was back in 2018, where we worked with a lady called Selma Nichols, who looks after a casting agency called Looks Like Me. And we had a collaboration where we recreated the character posters from the Black Panther movie with the children. Yeah, with the children. It was an amazing project, and obviously it was the inception came from Selma, but we were really pleased with as it went viral, as you know, with the output. So she came with the idea, and I helped her build the creative team behind it. And before we actually released the work, I actually said to her, let's take a picture of the entire creative team. So it was the lady who did the face paint, the stylist, the photographer, myself, and all the children who were part of the project. And we released that first because we wanted to show the world that this level of work can be created by this community. Mm-hmm. And as you know, it ended up in front of Ryan Coogler, who loved the photos, and he's the director of the film. Yeah, very proud of that. And then with We Are Stripes, alongside my co-founders Hayden and Akama, we were able to get Simon Frederick's portraits of the Black community into the National Portrait Gallery.
Again, I attended that with my children. That was a great exhibition.
Yeah. It was amazing, isn't it? And it's the first time in that gallery's history that they had an exhibition that was dedicated to showcasing predominantly Black talent and Black pillars of the community in an exhibition. So very proud of those two particular
Definitely. And the interactivity in that exhibition as well, because it wasn't just, having the paintings on the wall, it was the fact that you could scan and QR code and bring it to, my children absolutely loved it.
Yeah, so did mine. It was great. It was great learning about all of the different vocations that these people had. So you had Lenny Henry, and then you had Naomi Campbell, and you had Goldie. So it was a really nice mix of people and their vocations, and people could find out about it using the app. Yeah, it was great.
Fabulous. Charlotte, how about some of your successes, and what would you like to share with us?
I always say my biggest success, because we actually only launched in 2019, so we're relatively new. My biggest success to date is building my team. So in 2020, we had quite a rapid growth, and that came down to firstly just having a website and Google being our friend and being one of the very few marketing agencies that focuses on influencer marketing that also focuses on inclusivity. So Google did its thing for us during that time, and we had a really big boom in growth. And to be able to sustain that and say now in 2021 and going into 2022, I know that this will continue. Has been really exciting. But knowing that I now have a team of 7 women that I look after and that do the job
and the fact that you built it from the ground up is
there's that as well. But just having this team is just so amazing, and we're moving into an office soon, and I think that for me is our biggest win, our biggest success. I have won a few awards in the last couple of weeks, which equally is amazing, but I think that tangibility, that human aspect of building a business has been a really, really exciting time for me.
Great, really like to hear it. Don't the awards as well, I mean, a lot of hard work goes into that, so it's great with the team, but the awards as well, that's definitely something to be celebrated. Sabrina, how about you and some of your successes?
So for me, in 2021, being still in business as a boutique consultancy is a huge achievement for me. And I'm very proud of that. I mean, last year was a very difficult year, but particularly for my industry. We are, and I'm the only Black-owned, female-owned boutique consultancy that provides the services that I do. So for us to be able to turn the chapter in 2021 and growing my team, I am extremely proud of that.
Well done, as you say, to be the only one in that space. And I mean, I know as running a consultancy business as well, 2020 was definitely a challenge. So well done, everybody. So building on from that, I'd really like to share with the audience some tangible tips maybe on how to not just survive in business, but to thrive in business. What, Sabrina, I'm going to come to you because, as you say, you're kind of one of a kind in your field, and in a quite a difficult. Well, the field was difficult in terms of last year. I think every field was. But what are your tips or some of the things that you did that you can share?
Sure. So I would say 3 things. So the first is manage your cash flow. It is not cute, it is not sexy, but is absolutely required. And using alternative routes to find cash flow and not being ashamed of it. And for me, when I first started, I remember when I first saw my first payment term for a corporate company, I was like, 3 months? What is going on? What are we going to do between now and that 3-month gap? And so making sure that you have a plan in place to manage your cash flow would be the first, I would say. The second would be to own your niche, and watch your trends. And maybe I'm biased because I'm a strategist, but I am in a niche business. I own that. A lot of people say, why do you want to focus on corporate strategy? Why don't you do business mentoring or all the other things that people advise me to do? But I own my niche and ensure that I'm surrounding myself with a team of experts who are there. But we also watch trends. And one of those in particular is the world being digital in 2020. When I started Build Global 4 years ago, I set it up to be digital. So 2020 was not disruptive for us whatsoever because we have always been flexible. So really important to watch the trends. And then the third thing I would say is invest in expertise. I am not all things to my business. Marketing is an expertise, legal is an expertise, tech is an expertise. It may be very painful upfront in terms of cost, but the money it saves you in the long run will help you thrive. So those would be my 3 things: manage your cash flow, own your niche and watch the trends, and invest in expertise.
They're really good tips. I'm going to come back to that own your niche piece in a minute. But firstly, I'd like to hear from Charlotte and Nene in terms of some of the tips that you can give to businesses. If I come to you first, Nene, because I know you've been in business, you've owned your own business for a little bit longer, and then Charlotte as a newer business owner, it'd be great to hear some of your tips as well. So Nene, you first.
Yeah, I think just building on what Sabrina has been saying, actually, because those are all really solid tips. I think the first one for me is building a solid team, and Charlotte, you mentioned it in your introduction as well. And I think that is key. Yeah, I think there is a tendency, I think, when you're new to business to think that you can do everything on your own, or that you have every single skill set that you need. And then you quickly find out that that's not the case. I remember when I first started with Vine some time ago, and I remember having a little bit of an epiphany and saying to my friend, oh, do you know what? I'm a really good creative, but I'm a rubbish business person. I really do need to actually become a good business person. And that kind of leads on to my next point, which is to keep educating yourself. You need to
Yeah.
keep learning. You need to keep, whether you learn directly from like courses or whatnot, or whether you learn from other people or whether you get mentoring, all of it is learning, and you need that. You need to keep having those skills refreshed and updated, so that you continue to see where there are gaps in your business knowledge, and therefore gaps in your business as well.
Yeah, you have to keep kind of moving and learning and progressing, don't you? You cannot stand still.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I think the last thing I would say is, and it might sound really strange, but it's to actually be nice to people. Much of the work that we have gotten, much of the work has come from referrals and recommendations. I mean, we booked with We Are Stripes, we booked with Disney a couple of weeks ago. And when I asked them, how did you find us? And it was like, oh, we had a recommendation from a really nice lady. And I really had to rack my brains, who was that lady? But it turns out that I met her a while ago, spoke to her, you know, we kind of had a bit of rapport and kept a bit of a relationship. So I think in order to grow your business, yeah, be mindful of how you are to be, because people remember you. They remember you. Even if they don't remember your business, they will definitely remember you.
Definitely. You cannot underestimate the power of those connections. I mean, look at, Nene, you and I have known of each other. We've known each other for a long, long time, haven't we? Connected with so many different people. And you're right. It's like, when a name is dropped into a conversation, you can see people's reaction, whether it's good or bad.
Exactly.
Lead on to whether you want to do business.
Exactly.
Charlotte, how about you? What have you learned in the last couple of years since founding your own business?
Do you know what? I've learned a lot. In the last year specifically, I think when I first started my business, I was very naive to entrepreneurship. I'm on Instagram all the time because my job is very social media focused, and everyone makes it seem so easy. Yeah. So I was like, I'm a boss now. I had an intern at the time, and I thought, this is great. Intern was freelance, didn't have to pay any PAYE or taxes or anything. So I was like, wow, this is so easy. Roll on 2021 specifically, bringing on my team full-time, PAYE, all of these costs have gone up. Hadn't ever really looked into my cash flow before, hadn't really looked into anything in like specific detail because I hadn't had to. And then got a real shock of like, wow, okay, so this is what a business actually looks like. Before was just fun, this is now a real business. And I think I'm going to echo what both of you have said, but cash flow is so important, and understanding how it works. And I don't come from a business background. I studied at school, a little bit of business studies for A levels, but then I'm a language graduate. I can speak foreign languages, and that's what I have. So I had to do a few courses on understanding kind of business strategy and finance when it comes to businesses, and that really helped me. Also having really strong people in my team internally and externally. So my accountant has been so important to my growth because she's been able to spot growth opportunities, spot issues, spot things that can just make the business run smoother. That's been really important. But I think the biggest thing I would actually say is my network. So that cliche, phrase of like, your network is your net worth. And I do truly believe that, in the sense that I came from a background of being in-house and working with an incredible amount of brands. And that's what actually enabled me to go freelance and also create my business. And my kind of little black book has grown tremendously over the last few years, but I didn't have any people within the industry that I worked in, because I've never worked in the advertising industry because I've always been in-house. So I had to, this year and end of last year, really focus on building my network within my industry. So I joined a few memberships such as Bloom, Beamer, Conscious Advertising Network, and ISBA. And to ensure that I'm part of what's going on, I got a PR that's very clued up in the specific industry of advertising, not in brands and things like that. So she knew who to speak to, who to introduce me to, who to pitch me to, which helps actually the growth of the business more than anything. Because if you're known internally, I get a lot of recommended work from people who maybe are social media agencies but don't do influencer marketing, or digital agencies that don't do influencer marketing, and then they just include us because they know who I am now, whereas before no one knew who I was. So network is so important, and it's just the right network. Just because the cool girls doesn't mean that you're going to get anything from it. Like, you really need to focus on the right people to build your business.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of points on that. It is about network. I mentioned it earlier, and picking up on Nene's point of saying, just be mindful of how you are to people and treating people as well, because that's important. And also to Sabrina's point of, you can't do it all yourself, and bring in those specialists or get help, or or if you, whether it's on the mentoring, whether you can afford to invest in that help, whether you need to train yourself up, but just to get someone who's got those skills that can really make a big difference to your business. I want to talk about, and it's actually something that you mentioned, Sabrina, and I was thinking of it anyway, in terms of how important it is for a business, if your business is to be successful, to have a meaningful differentiator. And you said a point earlier, Sabrina, about owning your niche. Do you want to talk to me a little bit more about that and how important it is for the business to be successful?
I think it's the along with everything that Nene and Charlotte has said in terms of actually running of the business, in order for you to be in business, you have to differentiate. Like there is no point if you're not different, or you're not offering something where there's a need. So for Build Global, we are hyper niche. Corporate strategy is a very niche focus. Transformation is very niche, and supply diversity is very niche. So we operate in a very specific area. But because we're niche, we're able to bring a very technical, deep expertise, but apply it to any industry. So, and that's where we supplement it. So we're not just in the sky somewhere by ourselves in a little planet. We take that expertise and we can bring it to any industry. So media, pharma, financial services. And that's where we bring value. And I think that differentiation is what keeps you in business. Otherwise, why would anyone want to do business with you?
Definitely. Nene and Charlotte, you're nodding. Charlotte, how have you kind of built your niche or found your niche?
I think when I first started, I always consider myself as a generalist in the marketing area. So I can pretty much do it all. Some things I can do excellently, other things I can do and Google how to get it done. But I always think, anything can be done. But when it came to the business and we started to grow, it was because we really focused on our purpose. So I don't believe that all businesses need to be purpose-led, and there are businesses that can survive and grow without being so, but we have a purpose, which then gives us our niche, and that's what gets us our work. So the more jobs that we get in that kind of purpose showcases that there's a reason why we exist, and there are other agencies that you can go to do the general stuff and things that we can't do. But I think it's really important to just know what you're good at, and then just do that over and over and over again. And then if you want to expand and kind of add new services to your roster, that's cool, do that, but do it when you're ready. And I think a lot of people
you've got to have those foundations, haven't you?
Yeah, they try to just do everything at once, and then it's kind of like, oh, I can't juggle. It's just, I think I've learned really heavily that you just got to do what you're good at, and then the more people that see that you're good at it, you'll get more work. And then if you want to employ people to do more, then you can, but just make that for the future.
Definitely. It builds into that vision and strategy piece, and you need to have that. And it seems so obvious, but so many businesses, as I'm sure we all know, will start out and they haven't got those fundamentals down in terms of, what they want to do, what the plan is, and how they, how they're going to achieve that. And Nene, you've, I'm sure, worked with businesses from the creative side that maybe haven't got that nailed, have they? So how did you, because you have got a real niche with both the businesses, so how did you determine that, and how did you kind of carve that out for yourself?
I think for us, just building on the points that both Sabrina and Charlotte have said, I think for us, it's actually communicating our difference. So it's great to be obviously in a niche, and it's great to be good at what you do, but you can kind of stumble if you're not good at communicating both those things. Definitely. So that's one of the things we've kind of tried to work on, to say, okay, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and this is why we add value, and make sure all of those messages are really succinct. So when we've worked with other companies and we found that those messages are not succinct, we then found out that, okay, this is why you're struggling, because I can see you've got a really good portfolio, and you've learned all of these and everything else, but you're not good at communicating. And that is one of the things that we work with. And it's communication both in terms of copy, as in text, and then of course visuals as well. So I think it's basically combining all those points that Sabrina and Charlotte put together with being able to say very clearly, this is what we do.
Yeah, you're right. If the communication piece isn't there, it's pointless. You can have your niche, you'll be in your niche, no one will find you, and no one will know how to work with you. So.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse, exactly. There's nothing worse than, you know, you meet someone, because it's actually happened to me quite a few times, and they're like, oh, I've looked at your LinkedIn and your website, and it's like, so what do you do?
I get that all the time.
Yeah, it's actually really,
exactly, yeah.
It's actually really frustrating, because it's like, but I spent all this time on the website and, you know, on my LinkedIn, and it's like, but it's there in black and white, you know. But then that's what you learn about communication. How it sounds to you is not how it sounds to your customer, or how it sounds to your target.
Definitely. I also think as well, and it's something that I've experienced and how to deal with this business, you know, because it can be temptation to maybe, and it's not about straying outside your comfort zone, because if you've got those transferable skills, that's fine. But actually, when a project comes to you or someone approaches you, could you do this? And you think, well, maybe, but do you know what? If it doesn't necessarily resonate with the rest of, then actually you've got to say no. And it can be, it's brave to say no, and we have said no. And as a business owner, you think, I don't want to turn down business, but actually, if it's not right for your business, and it can do more damage than you know, good.
Absolutely.
Let's change tack slightly and talk about talent and the talent pipeline, because, you know, this is something that's really important. And we all hear, you know, you see posts, people saying, oh, you know, they're trying to hire more diverse people and they can't find the diversity, they can't find the diverse talent, there isn't enough of it out there. And we know that that's not true at all. I'm really interested in terms of what you do as a business, and obviously your businesses are different sizes. You know, mine's very small, so I don't hire people in, but what I do is mentor to kind of give back and nurture that next generation and next level of talent. What are you doing as business owners, as Black female business owners, to help with visibility and to kind of nurture diverse pipeline? Nene, can I start with you?
Yeah, sure. I think in terms of nurturing diverse pipeline, I think the first thing I would say is that it's very frustrating for me to constantly hear that, oh, there's not enough diverse talent, etc., etc. And it's like, because I don't struggle with it. I don't struggle with it. I did have one brand actually come to me and say, Nene, do you know any Black makeup artist? And I was like, really? It's like, I can give you one as long as my arm. I know, right, Charlotte? You're just like, what? Yeah.
I have had that before as well. And I'm like,
it's wild.
Is it on Instagram? It's this app where people showcase what they do.
Oh, it's just, yeah. So we have kind of wired it into our business, both businesses, in fact. So both Vine Creatives and We Are Stripes do that. We Are Stripes does have its recruitment arm, so you can speak to them about recruiting talent. But for me personally, finding talent means time and effort, and it means actually being very grassroots, and it means actually reaching out to various communities. I mean, I do a lot of work with D&AD. I've done lots of networking events with the dots for, say, Burberry or Moo, and I'm a part of lots of closed creative groups as well. So that is where I find talent, you know, and I speak to them, you know, nurture them, mentor, give value, give tips and whatnot. And that is one of the ways that I've expanded my, you know, emerging talent pipeline massively, absolutely massively.
And you showcase talent as well, don't you? You give people a platform, which is
absolutely fabulous. No, absolutely. I mean, there was one, I was speaking to one of my friends recently, and I was telling them about a comic book studio that's in Nigeria, and I was saying to them, oh, you should check out these guys, they're amazing and everything else. And this was like, what, 3-4 years ago, and now I've seen that they have been backed by a Black VC, and they've been signed with like Warner Brothers and DC as well to do a series with them. So it's like, and we put them on our Instagram like all the time when they were first starting out. So we are very good at kind of like seeing potential, but just like you said, Ellie, we also showcase that potential as well. So there is no shortage of diverse talent. That is, to me, it's not really an excuse. It's down to where you're looking.
Definitely. Would you agree, Sabrina, and what more needs to be done as an industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Similar to Nene, I just don't have this issue at all. And I'm reflecting on, why don't I have this issue? Because it's very easy to apply for an associate role within my business. So it's not complicated at all. So I think not making it complicated will attract a talent pool. I think the second thing, along with, you know, technical skill sets, are also focus on transferable skills. And sometimes the industry doesn't focus on transferable skills. And I think doing that broadens what your talent pool looks like. And then thirdly, we're just very inclusive in our language. I talk about flexibility a lot. We're fine if people have side hustles. This is not an issue for us. So using language that I think attracts diverse talent is very important. And your network, I don't have, my network is very diverse. And because my network is very diverse, I get a lot of diverse talent coming to me. So it's similar to Nene, when I hear they don't exist because they're not in your circles.
Yeah.
So you need to expand your circles by the people that you speak to, how you're attracting and what is your process, because it's not going to be helpful if you have to go through 55 different interviews in order to get a post when somebody is more flexible and open to inclusion and talent. And the last thing I'll say on that is that right now because we're in a pandemic, it's a buyer's market that is going to shift. Talent will be very sparse. So smart companies should start putting in these practices now.
Definitely.
100%.
Definitely agree with everything you say. Have you got anything to add to that, Charlotte?
I find the whole conversation quite uncomfortable because I have it quite a lot with clients. And there's one particular client that to this day has no Black talent and a couple of people of colour talent, but still there's a class issue in that they're just all middle or upper class. And I've always said I don't struggle finding specifically Black talent. They come to me, CVs come to my inbox whether or not I ask for them or not, and they exist. My team is actually all Black and Black mixed race women, and I find that a problem because we are not a diverse team, even though we talk about diversity. But I find that the conversation is actually, it's just down to laziness, because there are so many places that you can in fact find diverse talent, which actually is just talent. I don't think that we should be referring to it as diverse talent. It's people.
Right, it's just talent. It's just talent.
Yeah, and I have a real problem with that terminology, because it's just that, much like Sabrina, what you said, it's making sure that your company is inclusive, openly inclusive, so that people would actually want to work for you. If I go onto your website as a young Black woman and see only white people in your team, then I'm probably not going to apply for the job, because I feel that I will be that one person that will have the burden of being the only Black person in the team or the only person of colour in the team. And I think you need to do as much as you can to showcase that you are open to working with different people. And maybe that's taking the pictures of the team off of your website and not parading that you're not diverse. There's nothing, I'm not saying to keep it a secret, but showcasing yourself in a way that makes you open.
Think about how they can be more inclusive, definitely.
Yeah, and then just posting job specs and roles in different places and asking people to share. A lot of my network asked me to share things on my Instagram, as simple as that, and I've got so many people into different jobs just because of that. So yeah, there's so many ways. It's just, you just need to sit down and have a think. Yeah,
I agree with that. And I think, I have in many companies that I've been in, being the only person of colour on the board or at senior level, and being the only one in the room many a time. And it is, you kind of get used to it. You're like, okay, it would be nice to have other people that look like me in the room and sharing that conversation. And I think, it's interesting, we're a year on from so many companies making so many pledges within our industry. And yes, we've got some great initiatives, and it'd be interesting now to look at some companies and see what their hiring process has been over the last 12 months, and who they have brought in, not just entry level, because that can often happen in businesses. We've got great inclusivity entry level, and then kind of mid to senior, it just completely tails off. So it'd be really good to kind of hold a magnifying glass up to some of these companies and brands and say, all right, okay, what have you actually done? Beyond lip service. I'm conscious of time, so I'm just to wrap up. Our audience here today is lots of brands, lots of agencies, other tech partners. Opportunity to sell yourself. So why should businesses who thinking, right, I'm looking for new partners, coming to you first, Charlotte? Why should firstly, who is your ideal client, I suppose, in terms of to work with? Why should they work with you?
We don't have an ideal client. We work with so many different types of people and types of businesses, which is why I love my job. Yeah. But why to work with us as a company? We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for over a decade individually, and we're just very good. So if you're looking to looking for someone to help you with diversifying your social media, making your team understand D&I a little bit more in terms of the marketing side, and also to help you find talent as in influencer or celebrity talent that will help you diversify again your feed and your strategy, then come to us, because that's literally what we do every single day.
Fabulous. Nene?
I would say even for both business, for both Vine and Stripes, because I have experience and my team has experience with working with big agencies, not only do we understand the quality of the output that they would want, but we also understand the process as well. And I do know that for agencies, that's actually, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. They want a company or suppliers that they can work with who can understand the processes that they have to go through in order to output work. And then obviously, again, we have a understanding of the communities that we work with, or the ethnically diverse communities that we work with, so that we can ensure that the projects that they output are not tone deaf. I mean, there's nothing worse than that PR nightmare where it's like Twitter shreds you because you put out a campaign that's been tone deaf and or it's offended a particular
brands that we've seen, and you go, oh,
exactly.
who's signed that off?
Exactly. I mean, the latest one, I don't know if you've seen it with Kendall Jenner and the whole Mexico tequila thing.
No, I haven't seen it.
And I just looked at it, and I had this discussion with it with my co-founder Hayden. It's like, we know what we could have done in order to stop it going out in the way that it did, so that it wouldn't have caused the offense that it has, and that's simply to just remove Kendall Jenner. And just focus on showcasing real Mexican people for her brand. So it's that sort of expertise and that sort of knowledge that we can bring to both creative output and the agencies that we work with as well.
Fabulous. And Sabrina, how about you?
And for us, I think, just building on what Nene said, that there are like core business problems that everyone's still facing. So the pandemic was significant for a lot of businesses. But along with core business issues, what I'm seeing now is that there is a cultural competence required from partners. And that's what we bring. We bring the ability to deliver on those core business issues, but also a cultural competence. So when your consumers, customers, and clients see it, it's integrated and it delivers in your bottom line. So we have corporate maturity at Build Global. We have Big Four expertise, but we also have startup nimbleness. So we're able to scale up and scale down to really answer and address those core issues. And the other thing I would say is Charlotte and Nene are amazing. Did you know them before you came to a MediaTel event? If you did not, then that means you need to diversify your supply chain. And that is what we do at Build Global. So instead of having to go to a lot of events in the world, you can just have a strategy that attracts suppliers like Charlotte and Nene to your company. And that's what Build Global can help you facilitate.
Fabulous. That's a really nice way
That's
to...
a fabulous touch. Sorry, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's a really nice way to end the session. Thank you so much, ladies.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.